Everyone's talking about how expensive childcare is, right? But how expensive is it really? Truly, is it actually that expensive, or are people exaggerating here? In case it's helpful, these are the actual rates for 2024, 2025 for the daycare that my kids go to. So if you have an infant, this is going to be your most expensive situation, right? For 5 days, it's $114. This is a daily rate. So the more days you go, the daily rate is less, but $114 a day is still incredibly expensive. It does get a little bit lower as your kids get older. So when they become toddlers, it's 101. And when they become preschool age, it's 82. You drop below the $100 mark, which is pretty fantastic. But for context, I will show you what my rate looks like for an average month. This is my tuition for last month. So you're going to see that my toddler is almost $2,000 a month and my preschooler is about $1,500 a month, give or take, right? We're going to round up here, but for the total, it's $3,393 a month for 2 kids in full-time daycare. Now, if you're doing the math here, this adds up to about $40,000 a year for 2 kids in full-time daycare. So when people say that they're not having children because of the cost of childcare, this is what they're talking about. This exceeds my mortgage. It exceeds most people's mortgages. In every state in our country, it is more expensive than rent, or double the cost of rent in some states. And so when people are saying, I'm choosing not to have kids because I simply can't afford childcare, this is what they are talking about. And the suggestion that they should either leave the workforce or look into another form of childcare is often given without education, because yes, there's many forms of childcare available to parents. Right? There's a nanny share, au pair, in-home daycare, center-based daycare, town-based daycares. You can rely on grandparents if that's something that's available to you. But oftentimes when people talk about the cost of childcare, people assume that they're going to some fancy schmancy daycare and it's incredibly expensive. But that's just not the case. The daycare I go to is a town-run daycare, okay? It's not a corporate center. It's not a home daycare, but it is one of the least expensive in my area. And it is still almost $3,500 a month for 2 children. I'm spending $40,000 a year, okay? And so when people are talking about this, you have to assume that they've done the work. They've done the work to figure out what works for them, for their schedule, for their family, for their children, but also what's been available to them. Because what people often don't know is not only is daycare incredibly expensive, it's very hard to find. It is not easy to find childcare right now. There is a lack of affordable childcare. And so, yeah, people are choosing not to have kids for many reasons, and childcare is a very big one.